your thoughts on how the defensive line has progressed so far?
Good. I think we've got a veteran group, obviously led by guys like Ashton Gelati, Ramon Purrier, Des Tell, and I think anytime you've got older vets that have been there and done that, it's always a great start, just from a leadership standpoint. But last year felt like we had a lot of talent, and I think I feel the same this year, just some different pieces that we're working. But so far so good. Like I say, we're going to go out, and tomorrow will kind of be the first partial scrimmage situation. I think we're always doing team situations in practice, but it's been a good back and forth. I think our offense is very, very talented as well, so it's been healthy. I think the competition's been really good, and we've got a lot of good work. So we just got to keep on grinding, moving forward every day, and that's the mindset of our guys.
Miles Jernigan seems like a guy that's getting a lot of play along across from Ashton on the opposite side. What's impressed you about him?
Again, a guy that's played a lot of football. He grew up down in Texas, so obviously football is very important. I think he fits into our scheme. He's that hybrid guy that plays into the boundary, the Leo position. We feel like we've got a lot of guys there, and I'm trying to rotate as many of them as possible. You got Adonijah Green, that's a redshirt freshman that I think's got a lot of potential. You got Richard Kinley, who can help us on both edges, and you got Tramel Logan there too. So I think there's a lot of competition. But Miles so far, love his mindset, love his work ethic. He fits right in with those other guys that I talked about, the Ashtons, the Purriers, the Tells, guys like that, and that's been refreshing to see. But excited what he's going to do in a scrimmage situation. Excited to see what he's possibly going to do in a scrimmage situation more.
What have you seen out of Renee Conga? He's been running a lot with the 1s and 2s to start fall camp, and really seems like it's taking him this adjustment to Louisville has really gone well for him so far.
Yeah, well, coming from Rutgers, I think obviously with Coach Ciano there, it's a defensive mindset, temperament. They played good defense up there, and I think he showed flashes in the past of what he's capable of doing in a lineman's league, right? That's what the Big Ten is. So he's come in here. He's kind of that 290, 295 range, playing the 3-technique tackle for us, and very, very explosive. He's got some length. Again, when he's been healthy in the past, he's put really good video out there. And so to me, I just think it's a matter of taking advantage of his opportunity, especially with Jermaine not coming back and Jeff Clark leaving. I think that tackle position is wide open. I think we've got some other guys that they're certainly going to factor in. Jared Dawson is a guy that played maybe more of the nose for us last year, but really has played both of those spots. So I see a really good competition right now with Jared, with Renee, but like I say, like a lot of those newcomers, the Logans, the Jernigans, the Congas, the Kinleys, those guys, so far so good.
How critical is it? How critical, how important to have that experience on the defense return?
Oh, it's invaluable. I mean, anytime you roll out a bunch of maybe talented guys that don't have the experience, there's going to be growing pains. Not that there's never growing pains, but the more vets you can put out there, the better. So even though those guys, those newcomers that I've mentioned, weren't necessarily here with us this spring, the learning curve is not real big with those guys. Like I said, with what we're allowed to do in the summer, in June and July, we basically take how we installed the spring and reteach it in the summer. And then we start again in fall camp. So these guys have been exposed to our package now for a number of months. And even a guy like Tramel Logan that just got here, I think what you're able to do with Zooms now and just be able, from a teaching standpoint, to help these guys out, the veterans process it at a lot quicker rate. So just the aspect that we have a lot of older guys is very, very beneficial.
Mark, back at ACC kickoff, Ashton said this might be the deepest defensive line where he has been a part of. You've been coaching a long time.
Yep.
In terms of the overall depth, where does this stack up in terms of rooms you've had in your coaching career?
Probably right at the top. I can remember a D-line with Myles Garrett when I was at Texas A&M. It was 3 deep. We played all 3 strings, right? And I've had some others at Purdue in the past that we played in that 10 to 11 to 12. And I think this group is right there on par. Now, have we done it yet? No. I think, the fact remains to be seen how we're going to look when we go line up in game 1 against Austin Peay. So that's our mindset right now, is we want to be playing our best football on that opening day. But yeah, there's a lot of talent. There's no doubt about it. And there's still a few guys that are dinged up. Thor Griffith hasn't been totally healthy right now. We're trying to bring him along and get him back out on the field. We expect that that'll happen shortly. Jordan Gerard was a guy that came in the spring and did some good things, had to have some shoulder surgery. He's ahead of schedule right now. Everybody knows about Mason right now. I think Mason's always that guy that's going to push the envelope from a recovery standpoint. So I know he's fighting his butt off to get back there with us. When that is, nobody really knows right now. But so we're really deep, and we can be even deeper moving forward. So and that's important because again, it's going to be a long physical season, right? And so guys are going to get banged up, and so you've got to have those next guys, the 2s and 3s, that can come in. And when you talk about true depth, you don't want there to be any fall off. And so that's, yeah, do we have guys on paper that can go in there? Yeah, but you don't want the fall off to happen. And I've been excited about that because when we put those 2s and 3s out there right now, there's not a whole lot of drop off, which is what you want.
Kind of going off of that, Mark, as far as the rotations go, how do you, I guess, see that playing out right now, and how do you hope that kind of plays out in terms of just getting guys in?
Well, again, just because we can play a lot of guys, that doesn't guarantee the third group's going to get as much as the ones, right? I mean, you're going to want Ashton Gelati out there on third down, right? So even if he's, and so that's what's unique about what we do. I mentioned in the springtime, Ramon Purrier, even though Ashton's our best football player, Ramon Purrier might be our most valuable. The amount of things that he can do, he backs up Ashton. He's actually started inside 3 technique before, so the versatility to know multiple positions. He could probably go into the boundary and play Leo for us too, because he's that bright and he's that versatile. So the rep count, again, the 1s typically at the end of the game are going to get more, however that shakes out. The 2s, though, it's a lot more balanced than people would think. And sometimes when you have a lot of competition in a position, sometimes a backup may get into a rhythm in a game where that guy starts playing more. It just happens. And so how we trot out the first and second and third groups, sometimes throughout the course of a game, I may go out there with Gelati and Tell and maybe Wu Spencer and Tramel Logan, guys that play within other groups, if that makes sense. And so I do a lot of mixing and matching in camp as well, just so these guys learn to play with the other personalities out there and they get comfortable with everybody. But it's just hard to give you a true number, but you know, I want to go into every game preparing 12 guys to be ready to play.
In terms of development, you mentioned there, I was going to ask about Wu Spencer and how his progression is now that he's in this redshirt here.
Coming along really well. And I think he's shown size, strength, explosiveness. Still a lot of rookiness out there in terms of little things. There's still a long way for him to go. He's just scratching the surface, but he's got a lot of ability. And fantastic young man, from right here in the city of Louisville. I think he's got a really bright future if he continues to be as coachable as he's been. And again, with Thor kind of being banged up a little bit and us working Jared Dawson more with the 3 technique, he's taken a lot of those 2 reps here the last 7-8 days and has done a nice job so far.
Mark, Ashton obviously kind of de facto leader, it feels like, of the group. In terms of him developing for the next level, what do you try to work with him on specifically to keep pushing forward and getting better?
It's just his total game. I just think it's his overall technique. We do so many different things with him. We move him around so much. We can play on the edge. We play a lot of odd front, our bear, and our tough look, so he bumps inside what we call a 4-eye and that B gap. We move him around, a lot on third down. And so what we're trying to showcase is his versatility, and I think that is one thing that's kind of rubbed off with the guys, with the scouts at the next level. To be honest with you, there's a lot of different opinions with him because he's so versatile right now. So to lock in, I think maybe get more comfortable. He's taken huge steps as an edge rusher, but a lot of people would argue that he's a better inside rusher. And we're trying to. I think he's good wherever we put him, and so that is great for us because now we can try to pinpoint an opponent where their weakness is and go put our best football player. But just the day-to-day. His eye discipline, his hands, again, perfecting his, the things that he likes to do from a pass rush standpoint. It's just perfecting those things. It's sharpening, his tools every day. and he's had a great mindset and focus in doing that.
Is that kind of fun for you to have a player like that where you can kind of put him in different places and maybe surprise the opposing teams?
Oh, yeah. Again, a guy that's really 280 pounds, that runs well enough to play the edge, but he's got the strength and the power to really dominate any lineman that he goes after or goes against. And so he's got a unique skill set. You got to have a great mind to do it. He's obviously been raised the right way, and he's an awesome young man. He's doing a good job as a leader, more of a leader by example, but he started to come out of his, he really didn't want to talk at all when I first got here. So I try to tell he and Ramon and Dez all the time, like, look, coaches aren't going to be out there all the time. You guys have to open your mouth. And they've started to do a better job. And it's been a progression. But it's great to be around those guys. Again, you're talking about 3 guys there that I mentioned that have just been here since day one, right? In today's day and age of free agency, and you can go anywhere and make a lot of money. Those guys have been loyal to the University of Louisville, and that's what I love as a coach. Is those guys love being with each other. Throw Mason Riger in that group too. Guys that have been here together for a long time. The loyalty aspect is what I love, because when you find groups like that are loyal to each other and are going to play for each other and play for their alma mater, special things can happen. So it's been fun.
Second. All right, Coach. Good.
Yep.